It's an honor for one Gokhale to have another Gokhale on stage, and claps for all the Gokhales. Though I've been respecting, admiring, looking up to Shanta Gokhale ji and her work for all these years. We've not had a chance to meet except very briefly once at Kala Ghoda many years ago, which you may not remember. And I haven't come with any prepared speech. Normally I'm an anxious speaker. I have a few notes. But first I want to talk about the Jaipur Literature Festival, which is a community of ideas and of different linguistic streams from India and the world. We have 26 languages this year, 13 Indian languages, 13 international languages. And translation is one of the core aims of the Jaipur bookmark, which is also Vani Foundation is deeply linked with the Jaipur bookmark, as is Aditi Maheshwari. So to bring the Indian languages close, there is a literary moment about to happen in India. We are almost there. It is when the 22 languages of the 22 plus 2 languages of the Indian constitution and the dialects and the mother tongues come together. They can all sing in the same tune together, but that can only happen when there are translations between Indian languages. And so Shanta Gokhale ji is bringing the vibrant voice of Marathi theatre, Marathi writing, Marathi novels, but most of all, the theatre legacy into other languages and the backdrop of that theatre through other works. I think this is a very important contribution, and I think, Aditi, that we need to make a long video on this, of readings and some of the plays, to bring that to a larger audience. So I'm grateful to everybody on this stage, to the Norwegian ambassador, May-Elin, who's absolutely been a part of all our literary journeys for so many years, to Sanjoy, no need to say anything, and to Yatindra ji for so many different occasions where he comes to the help of other writers and other literary events. But Vani also, but most of all to Shanta Gokhale ji for being here, for accepting the prize, and for all that she has done. Now, if you don't mind.
May I now request Her Excellency to say a few words. Ma'am.
Thank you very much. And it's an honor to be here on the stage with all of you distinguished people. First and foremost, congratulations, Shanta Gokhale, for the prize. It's really great to be part of this group that is giving the prize to you. Very honored for that. Also, Mr. Yatindra Mishra, as part of the jury. It's great to meet you and great to be on the stage with you. Friends, Sanjoy, Namita, Aditi. I'm also almost, heartened. I'm so touched. This is such a great ending to this festival. It's my second time at the JLF, and it's the best so far. If this is the way it's going, I don't know where it's going to end, but it's been such a great 5 days here at the festival. It's been such a good festival. And I'm also so pleased that Norway has been a staunch supporter, that we have supported the bookmark for 10 years now. Very proud of that. And in the film that was showed, you saw 2 of my predecessors who were part of the handing over of this prize to other prize winners earlier. I am so pleased to be able to continue this tradition. It's really good. Translation is very important. And we know from Norway, it's a very small language. but there is a lot of writing going on and a lot of reading, and we are dependent on translation. I learned only this week that the average Norwegian reads 13 books a year. But also, sadly, I learned that most of those books are being read in Norwegian, meaning that those who are not translated to Norwegian are not being read in the same, to the same extent, meaning or saying how important translation is and how important it is for the readers and for the writers in determining which books are going to be read. So congratulations again, and thank you to all dedicated translators who are spending time on doing that really important work. And then again, thank you to the organizers of this event, of the festival, of the bookmark. Again, really touched and really happy to be a part of this. Thank you so much, and again, congratulations.
And Sanjoy, sir.
I keep telling Aditi I haven't been knighted yet by the king, so she doesn't need to call me sir, but she refuses to accept that. Shanta ji, I think for many of you who are engaged in theatre, now wearing my theatre cap, if you wanted to learn about the history of the freedom movement across Maharashtra and in those days Gujarat, you needed to read Shanta ji's history of Marathi theatre and see what the contribution of this theatre was to the freedom movement. This is how voices were carried. In those days, you didn't have mobile phones, you didn't have television, you had word of mouth, and you had theatre and music on the streets. And that particular seminal work that Shanta ji wrote about the history of Marathi theatre is absolutely vital. Also to be able to access folks like Mahesh Elkunchwar's work, and I'm sure some of you may have seen his plays translated, or Vijay Tendulkar. Again, Namita Gokhale plays a huge role in making that accessible for the rest of us who don't read or write Marathi. So Shanta ji, many, many congratulations and pranam. I think the world of theatre and the world of literature owes a lot to you to be able to make this possible, bring these words to us, make them alive. And today, Vijay Tendulkar and Mahesh Elkunchwar enjoys being performed across languages and, of course, in many different parts of the world. I was recently in America, jahan pe unka Vijay Tendulkar's play that Shanta ji had translated was being staged in California. That's the role of translation. As the ambassador said, this is vital for us to get the word and the message out across languages, cross that divide, and really ensure that as many people have access to so much of knowledge and information. When Aditi first came and said, this is what we wanted to do, set up the Vani Prakashan Award for Translation, we were more than overjoyed, and we said, absolutely, this is a vital requirement in today's world. Namita and our colleagues at JBM, myself, we're so invested in the idea of translation. And at the Jaipur bookmark, that's one of our focuses, कि किस तरह से हम जो इतने सारे हमारे Indian languages है, बाहर के languages है, you have so many international languages, how will they be accessible? Because if we don't understand other people and their histories and the way they work, how will we know about their societies, their world? Translation is vital. So Aditi, thank you so much for this, making this award possible. To the Ambassador Norway, thank you for supporting JBM and the idea of translation. And of course to Yatindra Mishra and Namita Gokhale and Arunava Sinha for being on the jury and being part of this process. Shanta ji, I think on behalf of everybody in the room, really pranam. We owe so much to you. Thank you for being here with us at this festival. And may you continue to bring to us so many more plays irrespective. Thank you. Thank you.
now for the moment we all have been waiting to hear Shanta ji herself. Ma'am, would it be convenient for you to speak from? Yes, please. Yes, this is most comfortable. Yes.
I must begin with the mention of the first play, which I translated, which hasn't been published as a book. But it was a major eye-opener for me in the skill of translating the spoken word. And the fact that I had been part of theater for several years before that helped tremendously in the process of converting spoken speech from Marathi into English. How it came about is a story that I think I have told a few times, but I loved repeating it. I was in Visakhapatnam at the time. I was a naval wife. I was cooking, looking after 2 children, and inland letter came in from my friend Satyadev Dubey. He was variously known as Stormy Petrel and a few other such epithets, because he took great joy in quarreling with people. So at one time, you were his friend. At another time, he was looking through you. Anyway, this was during the long, friendly period that we shared, which does not mean that he sounded friendly in the letter. What he said was, "What are you doing vegetating out there? Make yourself useful. I'm sending you a play. Translate." That was it. And the play came through the post, and I dutifully translated it and discovered the joy of translation, truly discovered it, and particularly translating from plays. I mean, I had been living theater for so long, and this was yet another way in which now I was going to participate. But the important thing, of course, is for any translation at all, to have a publisher. Mind you, I've done 2 plays entirely for my pleasure. I do that. One was Henrik Ibsen's Doll's House, which of course is a classic both in theater and for feminists like me. It's an iconic work, and my hands were itching to get onto it and get it into my language. I did it, I put it aside. Years later, I was invited to speak at a seminar. There used to be Ibsen seminars after his 100 years anniversary, and this was one of them. And I was asked to speak about Ibsen in Marathi. And I'm afraid I had to stand there and say, there's very little Ibsen in Marathi, but Marathi theater people admire him immensely. And for years, they have been inspired by him, and there have been 3 attempts to tackle a Marathi version of Doll's House. unfortunately, the audience is not always receptive to plays that are breaking boundaries in any way. And so these were cop-outs, in short. And they started out with a husband-wife pair and an issue between them, which had to do with patriarchy. And they had the woman sometimes walk out, but not to find herself. In one play, she walked out on the husband to go and live with the in-laws, because the audience had to feel if they were to sympathize with her at all, then she had to be dutiful in some way, if not as a wife, then as a daughter-in-law. When the director and writer of the play came back home, he found two gentlemen waiting for him. And they said, yes, wonderful play. But I hope she'll come back to the husband. So the writer said, look, what happens after my play is for you to write about. I have done my play and that's the end. But that is how involved the audience gets with the content, with the theme of a play. And on that is based the whole infrastructure of the industry of theatre. And Marathi has a proper theatre industry. So writers, directors have to be very careful about not really breaking through, attempting to break through. 70s was the time all over the world, really, when theatre was the king of the arts, or so we like to think. I remember Girish Karnad and Mohan Rakesh were watching a musical play in Kolkata. And they were finding it humorous, unintendedly humorous. And both of them were laughing their heads off. And one turned to the other and said, do you realize why we are laughing? The other said, no. So the one said, well, you realize, don't you, that we are the makers of the future of theatre, and this is not by any means the future. So that was the kind of spirit of theatre that the 70s had. And much of the plays which have been mentioned earlier belong to the 70s. And there was tough work happening for playwrights and directors, because there were the censors. Maharashtra is one of 2 states, I think, in the country which has censorship for theatre.
Delhi has been added to it. Delhi now has adopted Maharashtra's rule that you have to submit your theatre script before you can act it. You have to get permission, and that's recently been done maybe about 5 weeks ago.
Oh,
So
that's
three states.
New India. Okay. I mean, there are a few other things perhaps that people can take from Maharashtra, but this wasn't one of them. Anyway, so playwrights like Tendulkar, Elkunchwar were writing these edgy plays and constantly coming up up against the censor. And twice I was called upon to translate plays practically overnight because the case had gone to court and the judges could not have read the original Marathi. They needed an English translation to know what was going on, what was the problem that there should be so much hoo-ha about these plays. So one play, which is Tendulkar Sakharam Binder, I started translating in the evening, sat through the night, because the deadline was the following morning. And those were days when I was still handwriting, so it wasn't as easy. But I would like to think that the translation helped Tendulkar and his director to win their case. Because finally, the judge said, but what is wrong with this play? It's a fine play. and so the play went on stage. But of course, the official censor is only one filter. Outside is the street censor. So Sakharam Binder continued to have problems with groups of people who are offended, who are angry, who are saying that Tendulkar is out to destroy our culture, things that we keep reading and hearing even today, culture. So, but Sakharam Binder became a hit afterwards. Similarly, second play that I had to do, which didn't ultimately go to court, I think the director and censor sorted things out among themselves, was Vasanakand by Maheshwari-Goyal. And this was directed by Amol Palekar, and this was a proper midnight knock. There was Amol outside the door with the script saying, you have to do this, because we don't know. This play might come up against the censor, we take it to court, and we need a translation. So of course, I translated it. And it didn't go to court, it was staged. Though it didn't become a hit, it still established itself as one of the important plays in Marathi. But as I was saying earlier, if you're doing plays for friends or because you believe in them, and there is no publisher to publish them, it's a reward in itself. It's a labor of love. And I was quite used to leaving it at that. But Delhi had an amazing person called Rajendra Paul. He was once secretary of the Sangeet Natak Academy, and he also owned a press. And he was theater crazy. So in Delhi, Rajendra Paul, in Bombay, at that time Bombay, Satyadev Dubey. Between them, they formed a kind of conduit through which the plays of the whole of India were passing and getting published. Rajendra ran a magazine, a tiny, thin thing called Enact. And his main aim was, with every issue, to publish one translated play. And that is how my translation of Vasana Kand got published. And of all the other plays that I did afterwards, till Enact closed down, but by then, Seagull Books began to publish plays. So G.P. Deshpande's play, Udvas Dharmashara, was published by Seagull Books, and so on. But translating in theatre and not being published was more the rule than the exception. Because there were a lot of young Marathi writers who wanted to try their luck outside the language and writing excellent plays. And I have done about 3 or 4 such plays, which translations are still sitting with me, and they were neither published nor performed. But I would say that each play which I translated was an additional experience and a way to hone my skill in translation, because that's a skill that you can never say you have perfected. It's an ongoing process. And I actually tend to translate things which I love as a musician does riyaz. It really has, it's a way to keep the language flowing, to keep your hand flowing. And so I have a few translations sitting in my bottom drawer, which will remain there. Otherwise, it's been a very long journey, 53 years. The first translation of, ordered by Dubey, which was of C.T. Khanolkar's play, Avadhya, another play that took the city by storm and had all kinds of censors out on the streets, because it was a play in which 3 men who are living in a lodge, a kind of lower middle class lodge, are told by the houseboy, look behind the calendar. I have made a hole there. On the other side is a honeymoon couple. So you have a free peep show. And it was a play that explored the psyche of men like this who take this kind of vicarious pleasure in sexual encounters. When I translated the play, I think I was still a little prissy morally, because I remember thinking, do I want to have a cold bath now? It was so disgusting. Anyhow, that play made it to enact, but never got staged. The only play, maybe not the only play, maybe 2, 3 plays have been staged, but the one that I hold very dear to my heart was the translation of play by El Kunchwar. In the original, it's called Pratibimb. And I translated it as reflection. And it's a mad kind of play. It's absurd, it's realistic, and it's got some fantastic roles for actors to get their teeth into. Now, when my son and I were in London, I was there actually only to see theatre, and we saw something like 7 plays. But my ticket back was booked when we got a message to say that reflection was being performed in Birmingham by the University Drama Society. And my son Girish said, you have to extend your ticket to the following day. We have to catch this. And we went. It was quite a performance, I must say. I mean, the Marathiness of the play came through in English. And the director said to me afterwards, which I cherish as the finest compliment that I have received. He said, we did not need to change a single word in the translation. Cheers, I said, okay, yes, yes. But by and large, one can't expect English plays to be staged anywhere. Once Alec Padamsee did decide that he should do plays by Indian writers, it didn't get very far. But there was one play which Vikram Kapadia did, which is really a stunning play in Marathi. It's called Shobha Yatra. And he ran it with such determination. And at the end of 10 shows, he said, I give up. Because we don't know with translations, in books also, how many actual readers of translations are there. Similarly, if you translate into English, you can't be sure that your translations will be seen. I had an aunt who passed away a few years ago, who used to say to me, what is this back-breaking work you do? For what reason? Where's the money? Where's the name? So I said, well, add a third word, love. So she said, no, that doesn't count. But she passed away, and after that, when I got my Sahitya Akademi Award for translating Smriti Chitre, I said silently, Mommy, here it is. Thank you for being such patient listeners. Thank you very much.
I think on behalf of Aditi and my colleague Judith, who's sitting here wearing my meta hat, Shantaji, certainly the translations that are still sitting in the drawer, we assure you we will look at publishing them.
Meta
and
has
thank
a beautiful
you.
publishing program, and we should...
Absolutely, and thank you so much for so many of your plays that have come to Meta because of the translations that you've done. Aditi, we need to wrap up.
Thank you so much. I also want to extend a note of thanks to Shantaji's son Girishji for helping us with everything. Thank you so much. And let's meet next year with another story. and a beautiful one. Thank you so much, all the jury members, Her Excellency, Shanta ji, Sanjoy sir. Thank you.